welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. I feel like it's been a while since I filmed a video, but I think it's just that we've had such a crazy month. But today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about kind of my two different breastfeeding journeys and some tips and tricks I've learned along the way. My breastfeeding journeys were very similar in some ways, which I will talk about here, but very different in other ways. And I feel like this second time around I've learned things that I didn't know the first time around that I would love to share. And I also feel like I was better set up for success. I also feel like I've just kind of learned to understand breastfeeding a little bit better, even though I still have a little bit of issues, but nowhere near the first time. I think the second time around, the breastfeeding has been a lot easier for a lot of reasons, which I'll get into. So just to give you a little backstory, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter who I breastfed for 5 months. And I have a 3-month-old daughter who I am currently still breastfeeding. I've breastfed her. But both my daughters were combination fed. And what that means is I did breastfeed my 2-year-old, like I said, for like 3 to 4 months. But I also gave her formula as a supplement. And my 3-month-old, I breastfeed her as well, but I do give her formula as a supplement. So I'm not exclusively breastfeeding, and I've never exclusively breastfed. The reason I didn't exclusively breastfeed in my first pregnancy is different from why I'm not exclusively breastfeeding now. So in my first pregnancy, I got pregnant, and they always ask you if you want to breastfeed. I said yes. I didn't really know the difference between exclusively breastfeeding and combo breastfeeding. It's not that I didn't know the difference, but like I didn't know that was a thing. I really didn't know about milk supply or how to handle your milk supply. I really didn't know. I did take a prep class, but it was just basic information, but it didn't obviously go into like my specifics of my body, and I didn't really know extra. I don't know how to explain it. I was a first-time mom, and I only knew what the class taught me. Other than that, not a lot of people around me have breastfed. Not a lot of people in my family have breastfed. I think only one of my friends that have children have breastfed. So I didn't really have a lot of people to go to in that respect for advice as a first-time mom. So when I had my first daughter in 2022, right off the back, I kind of had issues with breastfeeding, but I did want that experience. I wanted it for many reasons. I chose to breastfeed my first daughter for many reasons. One, I just wanted her to get the benefits of my breast milk. Two, because it was an extra way to bond, and as someone who struggled with infertility, I was looking for these extra ways to bond with this baby that I finally had. If you guys have been following us for a while, you know some extra ways that we bond with her, and you kind of know our story. If not, you could check out some videos that we've done in the past. But basically, I just really wanted to, I struggled to have her, obviously, and so I was really in a space where when we finally got pregnant, I wanted to really just like soak it all in, soak motherhood all in, and breastfeeding was a part of that. I really wanted that experience and the bonding and all of those things. And also, breastfeeding has benefits not only to the baby but to the mother, which I knew the first time, but I've learned even more now. I'll list some benefits of breastfeeding for mom over here, so you guys can just read it, and also benefits for baby. So like I said, I knew that there were benefits for both mom and baby the first time, but I've learned even more that like there are it really is a symbiotic relationship. It's not just for baby. So a lot of times when we talk about breastfeeding, we only talk about it's good for baby and this is what baby gets and it's really good for baby, and it is good for baby, but it's also so good for mom's postpartum. However, like I said, I did combo breastfeed, and there's no shame in that. So if you can't exclusively breastfeed, if you want that experience, you can still breastfeed, and if your baby needs more, then you can supplement with formula. So you kind of have the best of both worlds, and I'll explain why I think it is the best of both worlds. But yeah, going back to kind of my struggles with my first daughter. So when I had my first daughter, I did say I wanted to breastfeed, but for some reason, my milk wasn't coming in the hospital. And I didn't really have a lot of colostrum either. I don't know if it was like a hormone thing. I don't know if it had to do with my like the pregnancy hypertension that I suffered from. I'm not really sure if it was like a first time mom thing either. I don't know why my milk was taking so long to come in. But with my, it could have been also that she just wasn't a good latcher in the beginning. She really had to learn how to latch. And so in the beginning, she was struggling to latch and I was struggling to learn. They did bring in a breastfeeding, lactation specialist, lactation consultant. But honestly, in a big hospital, you only get a little bit of time with a lactation consultant. And I honestly feel as a woman with bigger breasts that a lot of people don't really know how a woman with bigger breasts should breastfeed. And that's something I've kind of had to learn on my own, like positioning. I think that a lot of times if you have bigger breasts than most people, lactation specialists will try to get you to position your baby in the way that they're used to telling other women to position your baby. But a lot of times, if you have bigger breasts, you kind of have to change the angle, or it's a little bit different for you. And obviously it's a little bit different depending on your breast shape, just like every woman's different and every baby's different. So if you guys are struggling, I would say that's the first step. Like play around with different positions, different angles, your breast, your baby suction, all those type of things. I would start there. But yeah, I didn't know that as a first time mom, and I was really just struggling to get that down. And she was struggling to latch. But we did kind of get the hang of it pretty much like when we came home. But my milk didn't come in for the first 3 or 4 days, which is a little bit long. And she started out on formula, so she kind of was used to that. We did kind of get into a rhythm, but it's kind of hard when you're combination breastfeeding because it's a lot. You're like you're like trying to latch, but sometimes you have to pump, and then you're also giving formula. So as a first time mom, first time postpartum experience, it was a lot for me. And I think part of the stress of it and why it wasn't as successful is like I just didn't know how to balance it as well. I wasn't used to postpartum. I didn't know what to expect postpartum. I definitely think I had a harder postpartum journey the first time than the second. It wasn't hard in the sense I didn't have like postpartum depression or anything, but I did have postpartum anxiety the first time, which I don't have this time. And I did just not know as a first time mom. So when we did get the breastfeeding down, I just wasn't producing enough for her, and I really didn't know how to produce enough. I did try a few things and it worked slightly, but I was never producing enough for her, so she was supplementing with formula. My second daughter, when I had her, she latched right away. So I think a big difference was that this time I had a midwife deliver her, and they automatically like told me to do the skin to skin. I don't know the medical name for it or whatever, but when I had my first daughter, they did latch her right after birth, but they kind of just put her on the nipple. And it wasn't a great latch. We had to work that out. With my second daughter, when my midwife delivered her, once she was delivered, they plopped her on me same way, but my midwife told me, do you want to breastfeed? And I said, yes, I want to try. And I explained to her, like, I didn't have the most successful journey last time, but I do want to try again. And she was like, okay, don't latch her. So babies instinctually, once they're born, like in that golden hour, if you guys don't know what that is, I'll link some stuff. But in the golden hour, babies are like automatically, I guess it's like an instinct thing, to look for the nipple, to spot the nipple, to kind of shimmy down. They can't crawl because they're like 2 minutes old, but they know how to shimmy down. It's like an instinct to find the nipple, smell the milk, and kind of just latch on their own. And that natural latching, so to speak, helps them latch better and learn how to breastfeed. So it's kind of like if you give a man a fish, you'll feed them for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he can eat forever. Like, so latching the baby, it's like you over teaching them, and they can kind of struggle. But if they naturally find it, they normally have a more successful latch. It's not always perfect. There's obviously exceptions and medical parts that go into breastfeeding, but like it's known for that in a way. And so she did that. So she did plop the baby. They both times, once my daughters were born, they plopped right on me before they even cleaned anything. But like I said, the first time they maneuvered her to latch. And the second time, my midwife was like, let her find the nipple. She told me how to like lay, and the baby basically shimmies down you. It's really interesting to watch. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can find shorts and videos on YouTube as well. But basically the baby just instinctually like goes on your chest, shimmies down, finds the nipple, and it was a way better latch. So I think that was part of why from the beginning my milk came in better. The baby, latched, and the latch was better, and all of those things. So from the beginning, me and my second daughter, Eleanor, just have had a more successful breastfeeding journey. I still supplement with formula. Why? There's a couple reasons. So I feel like this breastfeeding journey is different than my last, because my last, I literally could not make enough milk for my daughter. So it wasn't really a choice to combo feed. It was more necessary. But this time it definitely was a choice. The way my breastfeeding journey was going in the hospital, I was making enough milk for her. She was latching and things like that. But we automatically supplemented because of my gestational diabetes. So originally, because of my gestational diabetes, we had to combo feed to make sure that she was getting enough food, to make sure that her blood sugar levels were stabilized, because when you have gestational diabetes, the baby is at risk on the first, I believe it's the first like 48 hours of having high or low or just like not normal blood sugars, and they have to check the blood sugars, I believe it's every 3 hours, and basically clear the baby. After that, the baby's fine, but it's just like, because of the gestational diabetes, we cannot play with the milk supply. We cannot wait like you can with a baby that doesn't have gestational diabetes in the pregnancy. And so we were combo feeding in the hospital. And so when I came home, my milk supply was slightly low, because milk supply relies on supply and demand. And so because I was breastfeeding, I was latching her and she was latching successfully, but then we still had to supplement with the formula, it was slightly off balance. But it picked up this time. And I feel like if I wanted to exclusively breastfeed her, I could. However, I could have. However, for my own physical and mental health, I chose not to do that. One, for me, exclusively breastfeeding is too much of a mental load, I'll be honest. I love breastfeeding and I love giving the benefits to my children, and I love the benefits that it has for postpartum mom, like I said earlier. But exclusively breastfeeding means that I would be up all through the night. My husband would be unable to help with feeding, and it's just a lot of mental load on the moms. And for me, I choose to breastfeed as much as I can and then supplement with formula, because if my husband needs to jump in, he can. He was able to allow me to get extra sleep during those first few days postpartum, and he was able to help me, which wouldn't have been the case if I exclusively breastfed. And for me, it's important for any postpartum mom to get sleep when they can and how they can. But for me, it's extra important because as someone who struggles with pregnancy-related hypertension, if you do not sleep in that postpartum period, you are about 10 times more likely to get postpartum preeclampsia. So we were putting my health and my mental health into the equation of, are we going to exclusively breastfeed? So we didn't do that. We thought that for the best health of the baby, me, my mental health, and my physical health, it was best that we supplement with formula for those reasons. So I didn't bother worrying about milk supply, but I have had a better milk supply. So although we supplement with formula, it's very little that we have to supplement, and formula lasts us so much longer, which is a benefit as well. And I don't know how long I'm going to breastfeed my second daughter, but because I'm having a more successful journey, I could see myself breastfeeding her for a lot longer than I did my first. So with my first, I stuck it out till about month 4, and then I weaned her off, and then I believe the weaning took about a month and a half. So the last time I actually gave her breast milk, she was probably about 5.5 months. This time my second daughter is only 3 months, but we haven't had any issues. Like I said, I do supplement for those reasons, but when she does latch, it is great. I do not pump unless I have to, because for me, I do get less milk when pumping, and I also just don't enjoy pumping as much as I enjoy breastfeeding. It's two different complete experiences. You don't get that bond with the pumping, you don't get the endorphins, and it just doesn't feel the same mentally. And also for me, my milk supply drops when I am pumping. I don't know why. So I get a little bit less milk. I get way more milk when she's able to latch. So I prefer latching. And then if she's still hungry, I give her the supplement of that. So that's how I do that. So that's how you kind of work your demand. If you do choose or have to uh, combo feed for any reason, you should always latch baby first. Let baby drink as much breast milk as whatever you're making. And then if the baby's not hungry, then obviously you made enough for that session. But if the baby is still hungry and you're combo feeding, then you can supplement. So the breast milk should always be, if you're supplementing, if you're combo breastfeeding, meaning breast milk and formula, you should never make the formula primary. The breast milk should be primary. Get all you can so that your milk supply stays up, and then the breast milk should always be the supplement. And I think that is one thing that I didn't really understand or know my first time around, because I wasn't really following the consistent latching and then supplementing. I would latch, sometimes I would supplement. I was kind of all over the place. I didn't fully understand it. And I didn't understand how much it would affect it. But as I've been following this, where I definitely latch her all the time, and then I supplement, it's been working. Also, one thing with my first kind of breastfeeding journey versus this one is that I feel like I stuck it out a little bit more. So my first one, I feel like every time my milk supply dropped, I got so discouraged that I was like, just give her the formula. I don't know what's happening with my body. And I would just think it was so permanent. Whereas this time I was like, no, I was really determined to be like, no, I don't mind supplementing, but I really, really want to give her as much breast milk as possible. I really want to get my milk supply as good as it possibly can be. And I realized in doing that just because your milk supply drops maybe for a few days doesn't mean it won't come back. You just have to stick with it. You have to latch your baby more. You have to maybe bond baby more. Do some skin to skin. Your breast milk will come back. It can come back. It's obviously, there's different medical things for every person. There's different things. So do what's best for you. Fed is best. You know, if it's not working out, if it's taking a toll on your mental health, if it's taking a toll on your baby's health, obviously don't do that. But in general, if you have a small, like, oh my God, my breast milk is like dropping, supplement with formula for those, you know, for whatever time you need. But I'm just saying, don't give up on the full breastfeeding if you don't want to, just based on you think your breast milk is dropping, because it can come back. Just keep latching the baby, keep doing skin to skin, keep bonding with the newborn, and know that those first couple weeks, those first like 6 to 8 weeks, your breast milk is still producing, and it's still kind of getting used to what your baby needs. So it's normal for it to kind of be all over the place. Now I'm 3 months in, it's pretty consistent. And I still supplement, like I said, for those reasons, but if I wanted to, like, it's pretty consistent. And the other thing is that I think the second time around, I really learned what you really need to breastfeed. So my first time around, I was eating healthy, I was working out, I was drinking water, but I didn't realize how much of those things your body needs to sustain breastfeeding, and the supplement things your body needs to sustain breastfeeding. So breastfeeding really does burn a lot of calories, so you need to intake calories. You don't want to intake so many calories that you're like gaining weight when you're trying to lose baby weight, but you want to balance it out. You need enough calories to sustain your body and sustain making milk. So I wouldn't say eat extra calories, because that's not what I'm doing, but it's like, what are you eating? Eating really, really clean and really, really healthy has helped my milk supply. I'm not gonna say like these things work, because everything, I feel like with breastfeeding, you hear something online, you're like, oh, that works, and you try it and it might work for you and it might not. I feel like different things work for different people when it comes to breastfeeding, because everybody's milk supply and hormones and body and all of that, especially postpartum, is very different. But I'm just saying what worked for me. Eating very healthy and very clean worked for me. Getting sleep worked for me. So choosing to combo feed so that my husband could help me with night feeds and I could get extra sleep was vital in getting my milk supply to at least a stable place. So that may be a thing you think about. Sacrificing exclusively breastfeeding and combo feeding instead, so that you as mom can get some more sleep. Because if you are exclusively breastfeeding, then that means that in those first few months, you are waking up every 3 hours, and your husband can help you, but like he can't breastfeed, right? So he can't help you in that way where you can just stay sleeping. So getting those, eating really clean, getting the extra sleep, the keeping your stress level down really helped me. So there were a couple things that happened with my first daughter in those first few weeks of life that really stressed us out. Everything worked out in the end, and I'm not going to get into it because it's like health stuff that we don't share on YouTube, but it just really stressed me out as a first time mom. This time I really was more prepared for postpartum. We didn't have those health things, and I was just better equipped to handle things with the baby. I just knew more. It was kind of easier, and my mental health, it was easier to kind of balance. So keeping that in mind, like that did help. I feel like stress does reduce your breast milk. The other thing is that for me, I don't exclusively breastfeed. So when you exclusively breastfeed, most people, I say most, will not have a period. For me, since I don't exclusively breastfeed, I got my period back pretty much like 7 weeks postpartum, and that does drop your milk. So I have noticed that on the week that I am on my period, my breast milk will slightly drop by about 2 ounces per session, and the baby for that week will supplement more with formula than she normally does. But as soon as my period goes away, my breast milk comes right back. So I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if it's a hormone thing that's just me, or if it's other people who have their period while breastfeeding, but I have noticed that, which I didn't really notice that or pay attention to it or like understand that my first time. So maybe I thought my milk was dropping when really it was just my period. I'm not sure, but I have noticed that. So now I just know that when I'm gonna get my period, oh, I'm gonna have low breast milk for a week. She's gonna supplement a little bit more with formula, and then I just know that it picks right back up the day my period ends. So I just don't worry about it, and I just supplement more, and it's fine. And then if you don't have your period, though, I don't know if that happens. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure about exclusive breastfeeding because I don't have experience in that. But that's something that I noticed and something that I think should be noted. Definitely hormones obviously affect breast milk, so it makes sense to me. Other things with hormones would also affect breast milk. So anything that's affecting your hormones. So that's probably why stress affects it as well. So those are the things that I've kind of learned. And the big thing that helped me was hydration, guys. And like the first time around, I knew that hydration helped you, and I did try to drink a lot of water, but I didn't realize that you need extra hydration. Like it's a lot of hydration that you need to make milk. And for me, I started putting things in my water to make the water extra hydrating. So drinking water with like a Crystal Light in it, or drinking you should drink extra water than more than you drink, and should be drinking water throughout the day. Like I have Crystal Light in here now. I drink normally when I'm not breastfeeding, I probably drink about 2 to 3 of these a day. While breastfeeding, I probably drink about 6. It sounds like a lot, but honestly, while breastfeeding, it really does keep your milk supply up. But doing things that make the water extra hydrating, like putting a Crystal Light or putting some type of hydrator into the water. Sometimes I'll do like cucumber water, lemon water, mint water, those kind of things, like infused water. Coconut water, I do coconut water sometimes, but I watch it because coconut water can have a lot of sugar, and I'm trying not to have a lot of sugar in my diet, but I do drink it sometimes to extra hydrate. Just don't drink too much of it. Yeah, and just eating hydrating foods, like eating cucumbers, watermelon, fruit. What's another hydrating food? Oh, the other thing that helps is certain foods like oats. I noticed that helps my breast milk. So oats, and just like I said, eating healthy fish, things like that. In those early days, I did take like breastfeeding teas. I'll link like some stuff that I actually took, like, but I'm saying like the teas I took, or like lactation cookies, I did eat those things. So I just noticed those. So I just wanted to share this with you guys, kind of compare the first to the second. I hope you guys like a good journey if you are navigating breastfeeding, or if you're pregnant, you want to breastfeed, or you want to breastfeed in the future. I just wanted to share the differences so you guys could see, and the similarities, and kind of what I did to handle them. I hope this helps someone. If you have any questions, leave them in the link below. And just, know that fed is best. Don't stress about it. And if you want to breastfeed, if your baby's getting any breast milk from you, any breast milk is good. So even if you have to supplement with formula, don't feel guilty, because I know some people do. But that's all for this week, and I'll see you guys next time.